Brighton Car Rally has been making its annual run to Brighton since 1896, the year that Lord Winchelsea tore to shreds the red flag that enforced a speed limit of no more than 4 miles per hour. It still ranks as Britain's, if not the world's, biggest motoring event. And some of the world's most famous drivers, Malcolm Campbell for instance, have been honoured to take part in a run not without its hazards.
I'm here with Photo TV and Photography Monthly magazine to recreate the famous London to Brighton run. I'm going to be working with their ace journalist Lorna Dockerill, who's currently operating the camera. Now, we wanted to start at Croydon's Old Town Bridge, but none of the locals have ever heard of it. And a taxi driver has directed us to here. So, it isn't very exciting, is it? It's not exactly.
Not really. No. I mean, I was expecting some kind of historic, better Carling style bridge.
Old stone, all that kind of stuff. Still, never mind. Rather than waste time, shall we get going?
Let's go.
Let's go. When you're driving one of these famous routes, you've got to remember that roads have changed over the years. So what was probably a lovely windy little route all through the downs going from London to Brighton, you've now got a dual carriageway and a motorway. So if you're looking for pictures, get off the motorway, go down some side roads and see what happens. We've just done it and it's paid off, right? Lorna and I saw a sign to a little village. We came around that corner over there, and as we came around it, look what we found. Look at these little babies. Right? What could be more London to Brighton than these bikes we've got here? We've got a lovely country workshop going on over here. We've got a classic BSA Gold Flash of all things. As some of you may know, I'm a bit excited about bikes. So how would you go about taking a picture? First thing to do is go in and ask permission. People are usually very, very helpful, but go in and ask, Just, is it okay if I take a few shots and all that kind of stuff? How would we go about photographing? We've done the permission thing and they've kindly said yes. Well, the first shot I would probably go for is going to be the whole thing. It's a country workshop. We've got beautiful bikes, we've got stuff going on here. So to get the whole lot in, I'm going to use a wide angle lens. I'm going with a 10mm lens, okay? If you haven't got a 10, just put the shortest focal length you've got on. An 18 will do. I like 10 because it's dramatic. White balance, check your white balance. I'm on sunny, it's a sunny day. I shoot RAW, you shoot JPEG, doesn't matter. You shoot what you're happy with. I'm going to use aperture priority because it's just easier. The camera will control the shutter speed and I can just choose the aperture for the depth of field. I want quite a lot of depth of field because, we want everything nice and sharp. So with a 10mm lens, I'm going to go with f11. Because that's going to give me plenty of depth of field, okay? Now we're ready to rock and roll. How do we compose it? Well, it's all very well standing here and going, oh, look at that beautiful old bike. How lovely is that? And just pointing the camera at it and going like that. And what you have is an awfully boring picture. So think about what you're going to do. Most of the functions of composition don't live in the camera. They live in your knees and your arms and your brain. So I'm going to get down low. So here we go. I'm going down into limbo mode here. What I'm looking at, I'm thinking if the bike is dramatic in the foreground, the workshop, the sky, that other bike over there, stuff going on over here, it'll look really cool. So I've come down low with my wide lens. First problem I can see, which you can't possibly in the video camera, but my shadow is going in front of me. It's going like that, isn't it? It's on the ground. I don't want my head, the shadow of my head in the picture. So watch for things like that. The only way I can deal with it is to move slightly, get down a bit lower, crouch, don't be afraid to sort of grovel around. That's not bad. Look at that, we've got nothing there. Focus on the bike, make sure it's level, hate uneven pictures, squeeze the shutter. Happy days, that's pretty good. Let's get a bit more dramatic. I lay on the ground quite a lot, but if we get down very low, the bike is going to sort of get very dramatic, coming in from the left side of the picture. Sky, workshop, all that kind of stuff. So, let's give it a go. How do we do this? Now, what? I'm going to tilt the camera. Instead of having it level, I'm going to put a little tilt on it. putting a tilt on it like that is going to have the effect of making the bike sort of do that across the corner of the composition. Line up the shot, focus on the bike. Go this way a bit because I want some of the workshop in it. Tilt the camera slightly, and there it goes. I think those are really quite cool and so easy to do. That's with a wide lens. I'm going to have a quick go with a long lens to see what it looks like with one of those. Okay, lens is changed. I've got a whopper on there now, haven't I? This is an f2.8 professional lens. It doesn't matter so long as you've got a long focal length, so long as it's about 200 millimeters. Get your zoom out, okay? Why would I want to do something as stupid as use a long zoom lens when the bike is this close to me? It's because a long lens gives you a completely different look to a short wide lens. So let's take another look at the picture I took just now with a wide lens. It's quite dramatic. It has a feeling of intimacy to it, doesn't it? Because I'm up close to the bike. Now take a look at this picture. I took this a moment ago just after changing lenses to make sure I got the shot right. It's a very, very different look to it, isn't it? It really isolates the bike against its surroundings. The background's a little bit blurred. Right, how do we achieve that? So get your long zoom lens out. 200 millimeters is plenty. I'm not sure what I use, probably not as much as that. But first off, set the camera up, make sure everything's all right. I'm going to set the zoom to about 135 millimeters to begin with. It's just as a starting point, because if I don't tell you, I know you'll email in and ask. Aperture priority again. ISO is 200. White balance is sunny, just as it was a moment ago. The only reason I'm mentioning it is because if the sun goes in, you've got different conditions. Remember to check those things. This lens is an f2.8. That means it's got a very, very wide aperture. It's a big aperture. The bigger the aperture you've got, the shallower the depth of field. What that means in normal speak terms is you can make the background very fuzzy. Your lens might not go wider than f5.6. If that's as wide as you can go, that's fine. Use the smallest aperture number you can find and you'll get the blurriest background possible. So now let's set about taking the picture. Lorna mate, we're going for a little walk, so come on then, here we go, you come with us. So, I've got a long lens on, and a long lens, this has got lots of magnification, hasn't it? Now, obviously if I tried to take a picture of that bike when I'm standing next to it with this whopping great lens on, I'd have a real problem, wouldn't I? Because I'm too close. I'd probably only be able to see a nut and a bolt or something. So I've got to move myself far enough away that the magnification of the lens is sort of, you know, neutered out. It's kind of one cancels the other. Back here, yeah, not bad. Not bad. I'm going to go back a bit further, because now you can kind of see what's going on. We've walked quite a long way away. You can see the garage, the bikes are over there, we've got the big long lens. Now all I've got to do is compose the shot. Little tweaks of the lens are fine, you know. I'm not saying just set the length and never change it. I just know I want to be a long way away. Where am I focusing? I'm focusing on the black bike, the first one, okay? Because I want that to be sharp and the background to be just a little bit soft. So here we go. Line up the shot, zoom it in a bit. Bend my knees because I do like getting down low, don't I? And squeeze the shot. There it is. Should we go and look for some more pictures, mate?
Let's do it.
Yeah, right, let's do it. and we were just doing a couple of little experiments with the pier, and then we were going to go down on the beach and see what we could do to get some sunset shots. Now this is another part of photography, is planning the time of year you're going to take your pictures. In the winter time, the sun is going to set further round in the sky over there than it is over there. As we're working, I don't know if you can see, there's pinkness going on in the clouds up there, which is really, really lovely. Now we can either run down onto the shingle to try and line up the shot, in which case we might miss it, or we can stay here and work with what we got. I often think it's a lot better to stay with your mind fixed on one shot and kind of work with that and get some really great ones and go home with 3 or 4 pictures you're so proud of, than to run around chasing millions and millions of things and then going home with maybe 30 pictures that you think, I'm a bit disappointed with that. So that's what we're doing, and that's why we're doing it. I've got my shot set up here on the tripod because light levels are very, very low. We're down to a third of a second at the moment, which is really, really, really slow. I've got my aperture set at f14 with a very wide lens, so I've got lots and lots of depth of field. What I want to capture is this pinkiness in the sky and the lights on the pier. This is a bit of a classical Brighton pier shot. I think it's been photographed from this point so many times it's not true. But hey, the reason it's photographed from this point so many times it's not true is this is a brilliant place to photograph Brighton pier from. So let's just go with it.
We've reached the final leg of our journey from London to Brighton in the style of a Great British Journey.
And it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It's been great fun. We've taken plenty of pictures.
We have. We've had a great crack. And the thing is, you've got to remember to get off the beaten track, you know? And there's amazing little gems to be found down the sort of back roads and alleyways and leafy lanes, all that kind of stuff.
And we hope we've inspired you to go off on your own British journey.
Yep, absolutely. Meanwhile, we're going to go on our own journey home because it's getting late. I want my bed. Take me home, Mother.